Unfortunately, it is very tough to see Seth Rollins go out with a re-injury to his knee, as confirmed by Seth Rollins himself via his Twitter account. Very interesting back and forth build-up between those tweets between him and the Destroyer, as Samoa Joe, has taken on that moniker. A lot of people speculating if this was something that was planned, if this is something that is actually happening to Seth Rollins. I mean, we didn't get a whole lot of details or see a whole lot of things that happened after Raw went off the air. And that's when Triple H called out Seth Rollins to come down to the ring and confront him face to face. And Samoa Joe comes out of nowhere, attacks Seth Rollins, and Rollins ends up in the Cohina clutch with a knee injury after all. What was your thoughts when Triple H came out to confront Seth Rollins? And further, was this the kind of surprise that you were hoping to see at the Royal Rumble?
It absolutely was. I know I was not the only one. I know you're coming in a little bit sick here today. I'm sick of seeing Roman Reigns coming at number 30 in the Royal Rumble. I was not the biggest fan of that, but I will say this. You got to give the company credit for as much flack as they get for their lack of creativity at times. I know people were very disappointed. We didn't get a Kurt Angle or a Finn Balor or a Samoa Joe at number 30. I know we speculated for many minutes last week on the show here talking about potential surprises in the match. No Samoan Submission Machine on Sunday, but he did surface on Monday, as you said in that Rollins Triple H segment. It adds, if Rollins is indeed healthy, adds a lot of new excitement, kind of fuels up that field that much more with Samoa Joe's involvement. And I'm pumped. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does going forward.
No, nothing but respect for Seth Rollins and everything that any of these athletes have to endure to go through. We are merely speculating on the story side of things that are going on and some of the tweets and some of the things that we have seen. Now, Seth Rollins, even despite this injury, despite posting pictures of his knee, hoping for the best, and speculating on timelines of recovery and those types of things, we saw Seth Rollins continue to make comments about the king, dethroning the king that is Triple H at the top of that food chain that he is trying to get to. Seth Rollins seems to be even more committed to that resolve. If there is any possibility of seeing him at WrestleMania, do we get to see Triple H versus Seth Rollins, or has Joe put himself right in the middle of all of this?
It's got to be Seth Rollins versus Triple H. I mean, Rollins said himself, he put out a few comments yesterday on his Twitter machine saying that the only thing driving me back this time is to slay the king, Triple H, and he will not rest until he reclaims his throne in WWE. Last time it was the WWE Championship. This time it's getting his hands on Triple H.
Now, Triple H was saying that, he has to put on this tie. He has to go into an office. He has to be this corporate shill in order to subdue this animal inside of him, this destructive force that compels him to be aggressively assertive on everyone and anyone in his path. Why does Seth Rollins still view this version of Triple H, who has taken himself out of the game? Why does Seth Rollins still view Triple H as the man to beat?
I mean, you go back to 6 months ago. We may forget, but Seth Rollins certainly has not. It was 6-7 months ago Triple H returned to Raw to cost Triple H, or rather Seth Rollins, his old protege, the WWE Universal Championship, and Rollins has yet to regain that same momentum. I mean, on TakeOver on Saturday, he invaded the show, said he will not rest until he gets Triple H one-on-one in the ring, and he was escorted out by security in the arena, which was absolutely incredible. Just a red-hot segment that people were ready to see this feud kind of reignite on the road to WrestleMania. But I feel if Seth Rollins is indeed out until WrestleMania or beyond that point, maybe it is Joe kind of getting in that slot, saying, maybe Triple H says, you delivered as I said you would and taking out Seth Rollins, but you taking out Seth Rollins and legitimately injuring him is not what's good for business. Like, go back down to NXT, whatever. Samoa Joe, he takes no demands from anybody. Samoa Joe is his own man. He's a one-man army, and going after the King Triple H at WrestleMania could be very plausible.
Absolutely. No, it seems very likely, and Monday was not the most, the last time that we're going to see Seth Rollins for sure, but prior to that, on Saturday, we saw Seth Rollins make an appearance at NXT TakeOver. Now, this was again to call out Triple H, which definitely alluded to his appearance on Monday, and there was a pretty big build-up with all of that. No Samoa Joe at NXT TakeOver, interestingly absent from that show, and maybe you can speak to what that absence meant to the crowd going in, maybe expecting to see him at the Rumble. Do you feel like this has taken a little bit of the shine or the impact that Samoa Joe brings to the WWE main roster?
Just a bit. I mean, I would say, I know we saw Samoa Joe in the crowd on Saturday, but he was not in action for the first time since TakeOver Unstoppable in May 2015. So nearly 2 years since Samoa Joe has not been in the ring at a TakeOver in NXT. But you know what? In a way, as disappointed as I was to not see Samoa Joe at number 30 in the Rumble, especially in the absence or instead of Roman Reigns, what I do think it does, because we said he was coming out in the Rumble on Sunday. Pretty much everyone thought he was coming out in the Rumble on Sunday, but they swerved us, and they had him come out on Raw instead, getting involved in a top-tier program on the flagship show. You cannot introduce anyone in a more high-profile way than they did on Monday night. I mean, with Samoa Joe, had he been in the Rumble, in my opinion, he would have had to win it. He can't go in there and get tossed by a Brock Lesnar in 10 seconds or a Goldberg or even a Braun Strowman. He needed to go in there, and to make the biggest impact possible, unlike an AJ Styles, he would have needed to have won it. But they already have their plan set in stone with Randy Orton, as we'll get to eventually. But with Samoa Joe, I think they handled it the best way possible. And a Samoa Joe and Seth Rollins feud heading into WrestleMania, if it does indeed come to fruition, in my opinion, as they wrote yesterday in an article, is what's best for business.